I cannot tell you the amount of times I've tried to sit down and film this video for you in the last few months. I really wanted it to be like those perfect birth stories you see everybody on YouTube, like with the freshly washed hair and the full face makeup and the cool outfit, probably with a candle burning in the background. But it's just not going to happen because this little man is honestly like my entire world, and every time he's awake I just want to spend all my time with him, and when he's asleep I'm either trying to get stuff done around the house or try to make myself a cup of tea and actually drink it. And have a quiet 5 minutes. So yeah, finding time to do this has been pretty much impossible. I just had him asleep in the carrier, so I thought, do you know what, I'm going to take my opportunity to do it, even though my hair isn't washed. I got no makeup on. I did manage to put like a tiny bit of concealer on. And I'm just in my bog standard everyday wear, normally just a nursing top and some leggings, not looking stylish at all. However, this is the reality of having a chatty newborn. My goodness me, of course he wakes up as soon as I turn the camera on. You chatty Cathy today? You're very cute. That was a tiny nap though. A very, very tiny nap. But I just wanted to come on and say hi and introduce you to our son. Anybody who guessed boy, congratulations. I don't have a trophy for you, but you can take the pride in knowing that you guessed correctly. He has a lot of hair, as you can see. So the heartburn thing is real. But yeah, I'm just obsessed with him. I absolutely love him. I genuinely don't know where to start. Oh my goodness me, I don't know where to start. And I'm a bit flustered now he's awake. So I think I might have to come back to this, but I just wanted to pop on and say hi. We're here and we are thriving and absolutely loving being a mum. Didn't expect to, if I'm completely honest. Everybody like absolutely terrified me and made me think that I was going to hate every second of it. Turns out I love it. I absolutely love it. And yet it's hard, don't get me wrong, it's really hard and I'm very tired. But coping with the lack of sleep a lot better than I thought I would, considering how much we love sleep in this house. And yeah, I absolutely flipping love it. I love even the boring days. I love it all. My only issue at the moment is trying to balance my expectations of myself, I think. And I'm trying to do everything. Like I try and film this video and make it look perfect and all of that, and trying to get all the stuff done around the house and, you know, just general life admin things that kind of add up. And I'm just realising that I can't do everything I used to do in the same time frame, and I need to cut myself a little bit of slack. And if some days all we do is cuddle and feed, then that's okay. Speaking of which, I think I'm needed. Are you hungry? Yeah. I'll come back to this another time, but hi, we're here, he's amazing, and life is just frantically beautiful. It's one of those that if I just don't start filming it, I don't think I'll ever get round to doing it. So we've moved to the sofa, we're having a feed, and I'm going to try and stop talking about this. I feel like I just need to sit down without any distractions though, because otherwise, you know me, I ramble and I'll just end up going off on a tangent and not knowing where I got to, because my brain is honestly mush. Like, you think pregnancy brain is bad, the postpartum brain is even worse. And seriously, what is going on with my hair? I'm having it done in like 3 weeks time, maybe a month, and I'm going back blonde and I'm really excited and I just can't wait to have like a big transformation. But for now, I look like a mushroom, so here we are. His birth story, oh my goodness. So for those of you who are new to the channel, hi, my name's Amelia, and I had a scheduled C-section here in the UK. And honestly, team, it was the most amazing experience of my entire life. If you want to know a little bit more about why we ended up having to have a C-section, I've got a little video on that, so I won't go into that here because I do not have the time. But yeah, we had a scheduled C-section, so we knew when his birthday was going to be, as long as he didn't come before that. And yeah, it was honestly incredible, like such a positive experience. Now, I want to preface this by saying I know that not everybody has positive experiences with birth, whether you have a vaginal birth or a C-section. it can go so many different which ways, and if you feel like hearing a positive experience might be triggering for you, I totally understand if you don't feel like you can watch this video. Don't feel bad, just switch off, look after you and your mental health, okay? But for this video, it's going to be a positive C-section story, positive birth experience, which I'm so incredibly grateful and feel very privileged to have had, actually, because like I said, I know that these things don't always go to plan, and yeah, I'm just very, very grateful that ours was as magical as it was. And I wanted to share this in case there's anybody out there who is having a C-section as well and has heard lots of horror stories or negative stories, because I feel like you tend to hear a lot of bad ones, and wants to hear a positive experience instead, or just anybody who wants to know. We knew that he was going to be born on that particular day, and we knew that we were on the afternoon schedule for him being born and us going into theatre, right? But you have to go in the morning. At our particular hospital, you have to go in the morning, just in case there's anything that changes, and they get you in earlier, basically. So like if anybody has had their baby before their C-section, they're not going to be on the list anymore, and you can take their place. Or if they don't have that many emergency C-sections that day, they might be running ahead and they might get you in earlier, blah blah blah. So had to stop eating the night before. So we went out for a lovely meal, and it was honestly amazing. It was like our last little date, just us two, and I ate lots. And then in the morning I was allowed to have like one piece of toast. So I had a piece of toast with like that thick with peanut butter, because I was starving on yours and gonna eat all day. So yeah, I had my peanut butter toast, and we took a little selfie and left the house, knowing that it was I'm gonna get emotional, knowing that it was the last time we were going to be in that house, just us two. So yeah, so you have to have like these drinks that you take ahead of it all. I think they're like energy things, or I don't know. So I had my little drinks that I had to have, and I had my slice of toast, and we got in the car and we went there, and we got there, and everyone was so friendly. The team was amazing. Everyone just explained what was going to happen. They got us into like the little triage-y bit, I suppose, and gave me my very fetching gown that I put on. And then the one of the surgeons came round, not our actual surgeon, but one of the surgeons came round to talk about the surgery and what was going to happen later, and to explain a little bit more about, you know, how the day was going to go. That was a very big birth. That's what we like to hear. You've been sick on me, have you? So we'd spoken to our midwife ahead of our C-section, and she'd explained that even though we were having a C-section, there's still preferences that you can have, and you can sort of like have a little bit of a say as to what goes on in the room. Obviously with a scheduled C-section, might not be the case with an emergency when they have to go really quickly. So everything I'm talking about here, I'm just talking about a scheduled C-section, so like one that you know is going to happen in advance. So we went in with a list of preferences, things that we would love to happen if possible, but went in with an open mind, thinking that we probably wouldn't get any of them, and we actually ended up getting every single one on our list, because our surgeon was exactly on the same page as us, which was honestly the most relieving thing ever. And I think that's what made it such a powerful and beautiful experience for us all. And the main thing that we wanted was the drapes to be lowered so we could see him being born. We could see the moment where he comes out. And I know a lot of people probably would be a bit like, oh, I don't want to see that. And for us it was completely the opposite. Like, I wanted to see it because A, I think it's really flipping cool, and B, because I thought it might help me make the connection that he's come from me, if that makes sense. Because I think with a C-section, without going through the process of labour, it might be quite difficult to make the connection that he's come from there. Does that make sense? I don't know. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted that to happen. And when the first doctor came round, she was like, this is how the surgeon likes to do it. How do you feel about that? And we were like, yes, that's exactly what we wanted to happen. So honestly, yes, sign us up. And obviously if you didn't want that to happen, you didn't have to have that, but that is just the way that she liked to work, which yeah, was honestly amazing, because we'd heard that a lot of surgeons were the other way around, like they would do it if you wanted to, but it's not how they normally liked to do it. So the fact that our surgeon, that's the way she preferred to do it, was just amazing, because it helped me in my people pleasing skills, because I didn't feel like I was being a pain asking for something that they really didn't want to do. So yeah, that was one of them, and I wanted immediate skin to skin in the theatre. I wanted him just placed straight on me as soon as he was out, and then for them to do all the weighing and all of that stuff later. And again, sometimes they don't like to do it that way, but she was like, yeah, no problem, absolutely fine. And yeah, Chris cut in the cord. We weren't too fussed about that one actually, but they totally fine with him doing it, so he did it. The person, it would freak me out. So yeah, that put us at ease straight away really, by telling us that yeah, both of those things can happen. That's how your surgeon likes to do it, and that's the plan. Breastfeeding makes me so thirsty. It literally is like an instant thing. As soon as he starts drinking, I feel like all the water has been sucked out of my body. So after that, sort of like mid-morning-ish maybe, we got taken down to the ward, and to our surprise we got given a private room, which was amazing. I think it was because there weren't that many people on the roster that day on the schedule. So yeah, we got given a private room, which was just incredible. It had an ensuite with a shower and a toilet and a TV and everything, and it was absolutely amazing. And again, so grateful. We got unpacked. Sounds like we went on holiday. We got unpacked and put all our stuff around the room, and then yeah, Chris went off to go and get some lunch, because obviously he can eat, I can't, and I'm not gonna make him starve just because I couldn't eat. So yeah, he went off and got some food, ate it out the room, bless him. So he wasn't torturing me with it. And we just sort of chilled. We were just scrolling TikTok. I was playing on my Switch, I was watching telly, and we were just chilling in the room, and waiting to be called down. And we didn't know what time we were going to be. They can't really tell you that. And I think on our day they had a couple of emergency C-sections which pushed things back a little bit, so we were waiting quite a while. It wasn't like super early, and by the time we got pulled down, I was hungry. I was getting a bit hangry. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm ready to do this now, just so I can eat. Obviously I want to meet my baby, but I really would like to eat at the same time, please. So yeah, it went down, and we met our surgeon, and she was just so lovely. Oh my gosh, she was so reassuring. I can't explain how amazing she was, and she just made me feel completely at ease, both of us actually, because obviously Chris was really nervous as well. And the thing I think I was most nervous about was the spinal block, because I have blood pressure issues, and I genuinely thought I was going to pass out and be sick and miss the birth of my child. So yeah, I was really worried about that, and I just explained that to the team when I went in, because I went in to have that done first, and then Chris came in when I was all drugged up. So I sort of like gave him a kiss goodbye, and he saw me leave, and I was like really sort of timid. And then when he came back in, I was like completely off my tits. It was just like, you were high as a kite, and you were chatting away to everybody. So the drugs were good. I went in and I just sort of said to the anaesthetist team, can never say that, that I'm really nervous, this is what I'm nervous about. And they were like, okay, no problem, well listen, I've got these drugs on hand, if that does happen I'll give you this, if that happens I'll give you this, and I've got you, basically. And I just felt in such good hands that yeah, everything just kind of like melted away, and they were just chatting away to me. It didn't really hurt that much. It was an odd sensation when it went in, and I think it didn't work the first time, so they had to try again. I'm sure I remember that, but it wasn't like a drama. Do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, oh, it didn't work, so let's try again. It was just like, okay, that hasn't worked that time, so we can try again. I was like, okay. And we were just chatting away, and yeah, it works very quickly. And then suddenly the next thing I knew, I was like lying down and really couldn't feel anything, and it was so bizarre. And then Chris was there and we were ready to start. Yeah, I feel like that part just happened very quickly. All of it happened really quickly actually, which we knew was going to be the case. We knew like it was going to be quick, but yeah, it was odd. It was an odd sensation, suddenly not being able to feel anything from like there down. but my body reacted really well and I didn't pass out and I wasn't sick. So that is amazing because they were my two biggest fears. Weirdly, even though I was being cut in half, I was worried about passing out and being sick. Yeah, that makes sense, Amelia. Sorry, my battery died and we needed a little nappy change, but we are back. Where did I get to? Yes, okay, so I'd had my spinal block and my body reacted absolutely fine to it. I genuinely just felt really happy, like really happy, really chatty, and yeah, relaxed, like so relaxed. I don't know if it's just because I'm an anxious person and clearly I'm very stressed all of the time, but when I had those drugs, oh my goodness me, I was like, this is the most relaxed I've ever felt. And they were all laughing at me. They were like, well, you can't have any more. So yeah, my body reacted really nicely to the drugs, which was one of my big fears. And yeah, before I knew it, we were starting, because I literally said to our surgeon, I was like, can you let me know when you start? And she was like, I've already started, we're in. I was like, what? I was like, you are joking, because you can't feel a thing. And yeah, it's really bizarre kind of knowing what's going on there. But yeah, we'd asked them to not tell us the sex of the baby. We wanted the drapes to be dropped down, and we wanted what's called the baby to be walked out. So it's kind of like where they pull them out slightly and then they sit them there sort of half in half out and let my body sort of like almost contract them out, I guess. And it really helps with removing extra air in the lungs and stuff, that with C-section babies, obviously when you have a vaginal birth, the contractions sort of push that not air, sorry, they push the liquid and the fluid out of their lungs. But with C-section babies, you don't always get that. So by walking the baby out, it helps to clear some of that fluid off their lungs as well. So yeah, she would do that. That was another thing that we really wanted, but again, that was sort of lower down on the list because we weren't sure if it was going to happen, but it's what she wanted to do, so amazing. And yeah, they pulled the drapes down. They were like, are you ready? And we're like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, we're ready. And they pulled the drapes down and we saw his face, but we told them not, we didn't want to know, we didn't want them to tell us the sex of the baby. We wanted them to just hold the baby up and for us to see whether they were a boy or a girl, because obviously we didn't know. So yeah, we saw his little face, and Chris had to hold my head up because obviously I had no tummy muscles anyway because pregnancy, and then I was completely numb from that way down and also sliced in half, so it was really hard for me to hold my head up. So Chris had to hold my head up so I could sort of like look down and see, and you don't see anything gross because your bump's still in the way, like you don't see, it's not, you really don't see anything gross, you literally just see your baby being born, and it is the most incredible it's the most incredible thing. And we're also really lucky because one of the nurses in the room offered to take photos for us. So they just whipped our phones off us, and yeah, she was snapping away these photos, and she has taken some incredible photos. Like, I want to cry, I just want to cry. And I'd love to share them with you, but I'm not going to because they're obviously so intimate and private, but I'd love to show them to you because they're just incredible, do you know what I mean? And she got the moment where he was half in, half out, and being pulled out and then presented to us, and they're the most beautiful photos I've ever seen in my life. And I'm so glad we've got them because yeah, your memory sort of goes a little bit hazy, I think, in the moment, and especially after that I feel like I got given a few more drugs because I definitely went really sleepy after that, which was lovely. I was so relaxed. But yeah, they had him half out, and then she was like, are you ready? And we're like, yeah. And she pulled him out and lifted him up, and we saw that he was a boy, and we were like, oh, it's a boy. And I think I don't know if you watched any of my previous videos, like my pregnancy videos and stuff, where I was talking about did we kind of have any feelings. I thought he was a boy for the majority of the pregnancy, and then I think towards the end I was having girl vibes. I don't know why, and so was Chris. So I think the fact that we were both really shocked that he was a boy cemented the fact that we were, I think on some level we thought he was a girl for some reason. I don't know why. I think Chris had a dream about him being a girl or something. So yeah, so we were like, oh my god, he's a boy, this is amazing.
So that was a really lovely moment. Can 100% vouch for not finding out the sex of your baby and finding it out on the day. It's such a lovely experience, and it's like an extra surprise, I guess, I don't know. So yeah, we knew he was a boy, and the next bit was kind of a bit of a blur, really. They passed him straight over onto me, which was amazing. It's exactly what I wanted. Pulled my gown down a little bit, so we just got immediate skin to skin. I was going to try latching him there, but I just, it's too much. Like, it goes so quick anyway for a start, and it's also too much, like there's not a lot of room. So I latched him and started breastfeeding him when we got into the recovery after that, which was probably about, I don't know, maybe half an hour after that. But yeah, we just got the immediate skin to skin, which was what I wanted for our little golden hour. And yeah, the only thing was, it was really hard. The thing that I didn't realise was I hadn't seen his face. I hadn't like properly seen his face until we got back into our room, because he was on my chin, he was on my chest there. Obviously I could see the top of his head, and I was like smelling him and just like absorbing the moment, and it was strange. I said to Chris, I had like this real sort of I don't know how to explain it. I'll explain it like I did on the day, and it may sound a bit woo, I don't know, but it's how it felt. I had like a real sort of primal instinct I just wanted to be alone with him and with Chris in like a cave, in like a dark cave. I just wanted everybody to go away and just be alone in a dark cave together in silence, and just sit there together and hold each other in silence. That's how I felt. It was so weird. So I just went really, really quiet, I think. Also, like I said, also think I got another dose of some heavy drugs at that point, because I got very, very relaxed. It was great. But yeah, I just kind of went really quiet and just held him. And just held him and kissed the top of his head, and it was incredible. It was an incredible moment. And then next thing I knew, we were being wheeled out to recovery, and it was all over. There was a very, very strange moment where they lifted me off the table onto the wheelie bed, and I saw my leg like this, and I saw my leg there, and I was like, is that my leg? And they were like, yeah. I was like, I can't feel a thing. They were like, good, that's how it's supposed to be. But it was really weird seeing your leg being lifted over and not being able to feel any of it. It was the strangest sensation, absolutely weird. So yeah, that was funny. Just constantly moving around trying to entertain a baby while doing this video. Let me see where I can put you, where you can still see me and I can still see him. Multitasking at its finest. I've become very good at this. He loves this little play gym that we've got. It's from Love Every. I'll try and link it down below. But he's obsessed with the spiral thing in the middle. He just loves it, and he's like kicking around on here. Yes, super cute. Anyway, so yeah, the next stage is they take you round to recovery, and that's when I managed to latch him for the first time. But to be honest, again, it was all kind of a bit of a blur, because you've got people coming in to like check your vitals and give you injections of stuff, and check him and all that kind of stuff. So I think we were there for like an hour, and it felt like about 5 minutes to me, because I was just staring at him. I was just staring at him, trying to latch him, doing our first feed, and yeah, like then Chris was obviously getting all the messages from everyone going, how did it go? Is Amelia okay? Is it a boy or a girl? Like, you know, when can we send us a picture? Blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. I must admit, that was the one thing that felt really overwhelming to me, was like it was mostly family members, to be honest. Like, because friends, they were very, very good, and they kind of like knew to sort of wait. But family members obviously very, very excited, and I felt a little bit overwhelmed by feeling like I needed to come straight out of surgery and then like inform everybody of what has happened. Instead of just sort of like, you know, like I said, just wanting to lock ourselves away in a dark room and just sit quietly together. So that was the only bit, I think, that kind of overwhelmed me a little. And yeah, so Chris kind of took over that, to be honest. He took over that. He took over the sending pictures, the texting people, FaceTiming people. I wasn't really very present for that. I was just sort of focused on him, if I'm honest. Which is how it probably should be, I guess. But yeah, we were just So we were in recovery for probably an hour, but don't really remember much of that. And then we went back to our room, which again was a godsend, having a private room. It was so nice, because I felt like we could get that peace and quiet then, do you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know why we had one. Maybe it was just a slow day, but it was lovely that we did. He's grabbing onto this. You grabbing that? You're very clever. I just love watching him develop new skills. It's like every single week he's developing something new. He's definitely learning how to like actually grab things. Like before he was just sort of like swiping at things and knocking them and surprising himself and being like, oh, that makes a sound when I wave my arm like that. But now he's like more intentional with his arm movements. And grabbing things around. I'm sorry if that sound is going through you, by the way. I'm trying to hold the jangly one quiet. So we got back to the room, and unfortunately partners aren't allowed to stay with you, which is really frustrating, especially when you've got a private room. Like, Chris could have stayed, no one would have known. It's probably an insurance thing, but Chris could have stayed, no one would have known. We had our own toilet, our own bathroom, so he wouldn't have even had to leave the room or bother anybody. But you know, we're a stickler for the rules. He did stay a little bit later. He stayed till about 11, and he should have gone at 9, but nobody knew. And that's the whole point of it. Like, he could have stayed and nobody would have known. But yeah, he stayed until about 11, until the midwife came in and kicked him out, basically. She was like, you can't be here, I'm really sorry, you gotta go. So yeah, then began the first night, which was the thing as well that I was very, very daunted by. Because you've just had major surgery. Sorry, this is a very unflattering angle. I feel like this is the most realistic birth story video you've ever seen. There's no calming, serene backdrops here. It's just me trying to entertain a little baby and tell you the biggest story of my life at the same time. Yes. So then started the first night, and that I was really worried about that, because obviously my meds were still there. Like, I couldn't really feel my legs properly, couldn't really move much, and you're sort of left with this baby. And yeah, you can buzz the midwives, and the midwives were very attentive when I did buzz. I think I only buzzed them once, but they were very attentive. I didn't really need much. Do you know what I mean? Like, Chris set me up with everything on my little table before he left. Yes. And I didn't really need them for much. The thing that was the hardest, and I feel like everybody who has a C-section will tell you this, is the first time you have to get up and move afterwards. It was really daunting, and it was painful. I'll be completely honest with you, that was very, very painful. Having to get up, and she was like, do you want to go for a shower? And I was like, honestly, not really. It was like the middle of the night. Was that you squeaking? Or was that mummy standing on something? Oh, there's mummy. There's a little squeaky bit here. I thought that was you. She was like, do you want a shower? And I'm like, not really, it's the middle of the night. She was like, well, you do need to get up and go to the toilet for me. So she helped me go to the toilet. Hello, Toby. He's the big brother. It's like, what's everybody doing on the floor? Can I join in? Yeah, oh my god, sorry, my brain is mashed potato. I can't remember what I was saying. Yeah, you said you got to get up and go to the toilet, and that was really painful. I nearly passed out. It was so painful. She was like, oh, I think you need some more drugs then. I'm like, yes, please. But managed to get up, managed to go to the toilet. That was a bit traumatic, that one. Nearly passed out. And then went back, did my wee, went back to bed. But then the next time I had to get out of bed, I managed to do it on my own and went for a wee, and I was absolutely fine. Also the catheter coming out, totally fine, didn't feel it. I was also worried about that because I'd never had one before, but that was absolutely fine as well. Yeah, and the second time I got up and went to the loo, it was hard. I literally had to take every single step, like, so tentatively. And yeah, it was painful, but it wasn't that bad. And I feel like the pain just kind of like got better from there. And it certainly was manageable. So yeah, managed to go. They monitor your wee output to make sure you're weeing enough so they can let you go home. Passed the test with flying colours. And then before I knew it, Chris was back, and it was the morning again. And he brought me a little Costa and a little pastry, which I wolfed down. Really glad I took all my snacks, by the way. Definitely take snacks, they're great. What else have I got to say? Oh yeah, and like that first night, I felt like that was the first time. Are you smiling at yourself? Smiling at himself in the mirror. That's the first time I managed to look at him, like properly look at him, when he was in his little see-through bassinet. And I was just lying there, just staring at him. And that for me is when my bonding happened. It didn't happen straight away, like when he was placed on my chest, like they tell you it happens in the movies. It didn't. I was so happy and so overwhelmed, and like I said, had that urge to just sort of like be alone as a family and protect everything. But I didn't really have that sort of rush of love because I didn't get a chance to properly look at him. And it was only when, it was actually a really lovely moment, it was like middle of the night, maybe like 3 AM, and I just looked over at him in the bassinet and saw his little face, and that's when it happened. It was like somebody opened a floodgate and all this love came rushing in, and I was like, yeah, this is it then. This is it now. You're mine. We're in this together, buddy. And it was amazing. Because before then, I think I was coming down from the drugs, and those drugs were fantastic. They were great, but the come down was hard. I'll be honest with you, the come down was really hard. And yeah, and then I got a little bit worried because obviously I hadn't had that rush of love straight away, blah blah blah. And I was like sending voice notes to Chris when he was at home, and to my friends and stuff, and be like, oh, I don't know if I've had the bond. Sorry, I know this isn't making any sense. It's all just falling out of my brain. But yeah, it just sort of happened at like 3 AM. And it's never gone away, and it's amazing. So yeah, if it doesn't happen right away for you, don't worry, it will. Yes. So yeah, the next thing I knew, Chris was there with a coffee and a pastry, and people were coming around doing all different kinds of tests on him, like hearing tests and all this kind of stuff, not on the baby, not Chris. And yeah, before we knew it, we were being sent home. Less than 24 hours later, after major surgery, we got sent home with some ibuprofen, some paracetamol, and some, I think it might have been cocodamol maybe, something. There was another really strong one that I had for 3 days. That made me feel a bit spaced out actually. I didn't love that one, but I did love it because it actually helped with the pain. But I was pleased when I could stop taking that one. And yeah, we went home less than 24 hours later, which is honestly bonkers, isn't it? Absolutely bonkers. Yeah, 24 hours after he was born, not after we got there in the morning, obviously. But yeah, they wanted to check that everything was okay with his feeding and stuff before they let us go. And then we went home, and the rest is history. I would say that maybe the first 3 days were the hardest as far as pain goes, but it was all very, very manageable, and I just took it so easy. Like, Chris did everything. Chris did everything for me, and for him, apart from feed him. That's it. So Chris fed me, he helped me get around, he picked him up all the time, he brought him to me to feed. We had like a few days of like total bed rest, and it was obviously the best thing. And I highly recommend, if you can, obviously not everybody has a Chris, but if you can, do that regardless of whether you've had a C-section or a vaginal birth, because you've just been through a huge ordeal and you need to rest. So yeah, I think that really helped with my recovery. But yeah, I was very lucky, didn't have any complications at all. The wound, I hate that word, the incision healed really nicely, and it's such a beautiful scar. Like, I love it. I'd never want it to fade. It's like my proudest thing on my body. Like, I'm so, just absolutely love it. And yeah, and thus started the newborn bubble, the 4th trimester, and it's messy, it's exhausting, it's magical all at the same time. And yeah, that's it. So that's my birth story. I'm sorry, it's probably really boring. Like, it was the most magical, incredible experience of my entire life, and I feel so grateful that we got to experience it, but also that it went the way it did. We had the most amazing surgeon, and yeah, everything went perfectly, really. So yeah, it was incredible. I used pretty much everything in my hospital bag, apart from my LV curve, the suction, like the hacker thing basically, because I just didn't need it at that time.
The colostrum harvesting was really useful. He had those syringes in his first sort of week or so when he was just trying to get used to latching. And yeah, I feel like I've got lots and lots of tips, but like so many that I can't put it all in one video. I'm gonna have to like split things up. But yeah, it's been amazing. It was the most wonderful experience. So if you are having a C-section and you are worried, hopefully this has given you some insight to show that they're not all traumatic, and it can go right, and it can be the most beautiful experience and calm experience. It really was very, very calm, and we were all just sort of like laughing and joking together. Like I said, the most overwhelming part for me was then having family sort of saying like, tell me everything like straight away, when I just wanted to just like sink into our new little family bubble. And I was gonna say, if we do it again, that's what I would do that differently. Not doing it again, one and done. Totally happy with that decision. But yeah, if I could go back, I would stand even firmer in my boundaries of, we'll tell you when we tell you. Do you know what I mean? And probably not even turn on the phone. Just not even turn on the phone for a good few hours. And just tell people that, and tell people that you won't be hearing from us until at least this time. Do you know what I mean? Because yeah, I feel like I was just still a little bit out of it. I was coming down a little bit still from the drugs when all those phone calls happened, and I don't really remember them. But that was quite nice as well, because then I suppose when grandparents come round and actually meet him for the first time, kind of like seeing their reaction for the first time then, because I can't remember what their reactions were over FaceTime. I was off my tits. But yeah, it was fantastic, and I'm so glad that it went the way it did. And yeah, we have a happy, healthy baby boy, and he's amazing. And yeah, I'm desperate to go and play with him on his little mat and sing some nursery rhymes. So I'm going to leave this here. I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to edit this. I'm sorry if this is an absolute mess of a video and just me rambling on. Yeah, I hope you've had a cup of tea. It's probably gone cold now by the time you get to the end of it. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'm sure I'll be back with some content, baby content and just normal life content soon. But for now, I'm just very much enjoying being a mum and hanging out with this little legend. He's such a dude. I love him. Right, okay. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.